So welcome, everyone. We're going to have a chance to all introduce ourselves, but first, so the theme today will be really starting at the beginning. And so we've already skipped the beginning in a sense, including myself, and that is how we come in the room and how we sit in the chair. So I'm going to ask you to do that. And if it's hard for you physically, you can do that in your mind. But one way or the other, let's go out into whatever would be a hallway and kind of compose ourselves, and then enter through the door with your left foot going forward and doing a gassho bow. And your hands would be like this, right about here. And you're bowing to the room. And then as you walk in the room, I'm going to say this a couple of times, but as you walk in the room, feel the floor under your feet. And as you bow to the room, realize that you're creating this as a sacred space. And Ellen said right foot, and some people say left foot. We're going to do left foot, but there's many different views. Are you thinking because the altar's on the right, Ellen? You're muted, Ellen. Yeah, Rosemary, let people unmute themselves.
No, that's just what I learned from Peg.
Yeah, so there's both ways. That sometimes with a wide opening, you would do it one way if you were on one side of the opening, another way on the other side. But anyway, let's do the left foot. But you're going to be conscious about that. And then as you walk on the floor, don't just feel the floor, but feel the temperature of the floor and feel how your body is. And then when you come to your chair or your cushion, I see most of us have chairs. You want to bow to the chair and then turn around clockwise and bow to the room. So this is a very sacred space where we're going to be, well, at first sitting and then doing some other things. And again, and our teacher, Flint Sparks, has said many times, how simple do you want it to be? So in making it so simple, we make it full. Does that make sense? You know, we tend to gloss over things. And I will say one more thing. I was probably maybe 18 or something, and I think maybe in my second course in photography in college, and the teacher said, his name was Art Sinsaba, he said, define what you want to do this semester. And I said, I want to get so good at photography that I don't need to use a camera, that when I walked around, I would just be aware of things. And so, you know, that kind of, I think I don't know if I knew anything about, well, a little bit about Zen then. And I still know a little bit about Zen, not that I know anymore, but anyway, it's all about awareness. And we're going to be dealing in a little while with our other senses, but let's just think about those two senses as we walk in the room. The feel of the floor on our body and the temperature of the floor, whether it's cold or warm. And then as we bow to the chair, we turn clockwise and we'll bow to the room, and then we'll sit in the chair. So let's do that. And then we can start. No, that's the start. So maybe since class,
You're muted, Kim.
You're muted, Kim.
our homework is to be aware as we walk into rooms. And the other thing I said was that we tend to we tend to forget things so quickly. You know, you know, someone says, "Oh, how old are you?" I would say, you know, I'm 37. You know, how long have I really been aware and awake? You know, that now I'm thinking about it again. Maybe I'm 5. No, maybe 1. You know, how many minutes? How many seconds? So what I'd like us to do first is to sit for 5 minutes, but as you're sitting, do what I'm going to call a sense inventory. So be aware, let's just work with the 5 senses. In Buddhism, there's 6. Mind is a sense, but there's 5 senses: sight, hearing, taste, smell, and touch. And as you sit, move through those senses and try to see, what am I seeing? Because your eyes can be slightly open and pointed down. But what am I seeing? Am I seeing light? I'm seeing a white bar on the screen. You know, I'm seeing a bunch of wires down here. And then hearing, what do I hear? And you might just hear your own body. You might hear sounds. You might hear birds. This morning, there were a lot of birds in Zazen. What do you smell? Is it neutral, or do you smell something? And then touch is a really interesting thing, because your body is touching the chair, your hands are touching your lap or wherever they are. So work through and try to just be aware of what your body is sensing of the world. This is a verse from the Satipatthana Sutra on what we're doing, our sensing. And just, you can keep sitting, but this might help you. It sure helped me. How, O bhikkhus, does a bhikkhu live contemplating mental object in the mental objects of the 6 internal and 6 external sense bases? Here, O bhikkhus, a bhikkhu understands the I and material forms and the fetter that arises dependent on both I and forms. He understands how the arising of the non-arisen fetter comes to be. He understands how the abandoning of the arisen fetter comes to be. And he understands how the non-arising in the future of the abandoned fetter comes to be. He understands the ear and sounds, the organ of smell and odors, the organ of taste and flavors, the organ of touch and tactile objects, the consciousness and mental objects. Thus he lives contemplating mental object in mental objects and clings to nothing in the world. But when I call on you, I'd like you to say something about some of the things that you experienced. For example, I became aware that there's a ceiling fan on, and I became aware that every once in a while a car would pass, and I became aware that I have a little tinnitus. So I heard some ringing in my ears, and I became aware of the my feet against the, I have a little kind of thing that angles where I put my feet, and I became aware of my seat on the cushion, you know, and one thing after another, and all stuff that I wasn't aware of before I started sitting. So let's start with Allison. So you can unmute yourself.
Hi, I'm Allison. I became aware a lot of my computer fan. I did not realize how loud it was or that it doesn't turn off. And I've had this computer for like 6 years, so I found that very surprising that I hadn't noticed that before.
And why don't you say where you're from too, Allison?
So I'm from Boston, Massachusetts, but I'm currently in Durham, North Carolina.
Well, welcome.
Thank you.
And then we could bow to Allison and whoever talks. And next is Ellen. Ellen, who enters on the with the right foot, and Maria enters with the right foot. So
Ellen, who learns something new every day.
yes.
Yeah, I'm cooking rice over here. So there's the smell of rice and the sound of rice cooking. It's almost done. You want to know more?
Oh, you said it's almost, yeah. What's the rest of the sentence?
It's almost done. The rice.
Oh, good, good, good. And where do you live?
I live in Austin, Texas, but I'm getting ready to move to Richmond, Virginia.
Okay, thank you. And Michael.
Hi, my name is Michael and I am in Austin. I noticed I don't have a very good sense of smell. And in fact, that's been going on for 10 years, so it's not COVID related. But I noticed that in a very, very mild aroma, and I couldn't quite tell whether it was sort of a human body odor or something from the rugs or the 3 cats that surround me. I eventually decided that it was the aroma of grain, just like dry grain. And then I also noticed that there was a coolness to the air that was coming into my nostril, and it only lasted for a little while. And so I think it was my air conditioner that was on for a little bit and then went off. And the last thing I noticed is that one of my cats has an extraordinarily loud sound when she cleans herself or drinks water or cleans one of the other cats. And she was over on the chair that was within the periphery of my vision, and I could sort of see her and listen to her and enjoy that. So that's it.
So this is kind of Michael's a hardware engineer. So this is kind of the process you need to do when you see a new computer, right? Something's not working, so you have to observe everything about it.
Well, or socially, when I walk into a room of people that I don't know and need to sort of figure out who are the friends, who are the enemies, what are the social protocols that I have to adhere to. So it's not just engineering, it applies to everything in my life.
Okay, thank you. And did you say where you're from?
Austin.
Okay. And next is Becky. There she is.
Yes, sorry, my internet keeps dropping out, but you know, here I am now. I find that one of the things that I love when I'm sharing meditation on Zoom is that when I close my eyes at the very bottom, what I experience is the same thing, like if you're looking at reflection on a lake. And it's quite delightful. It just sort of comes down from the Zoom boxes, and it's a nice thing. And the sounds, I've got spring bird song happening loudly, and it was raining for a while, and I heard that. When I tried to distinguish smell, I found I really couldn't. So I just thought, it smells like home, which is always a comforting thing.
Mhm.
And in terms of taste, I also didn't distinguish anything. And I think I forgot something. It didn't sound like enough senses. I don't have enough sense.
Thank you.
Oh, and in terms of feeling, yes. One of the first things I noticed was that as my feet are on the floor, I was experiencing, they aren't firmly on the floor because my chair's a little bit high, but what I was experiencing was just a wonderful tingling, like something in motion inside me, and of course, yes, the chair.
This is infinitely complex, the amount of sensations. Like I've talked about sometimes my teacher who said that the biggest discovery of his life was that corners pick up dirt. So you look at a very little kind of phenomena and you look at it hard enough, and like our own sitting and what's going on, or with Michael, what happens when he walks into a room with people, and there's just like no end. You could write books about it. Tom could write wonderful poetry about it.
Where are you from, Becky?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm in Vancouver, British Columbia, in Canada.
Thank you. Thank you. And Bets.
Hey, everybody. Betsy, I'm from Pound Ridge, New York, about 40 miles northeast of the city, in a very country setting. And what I noticed was, I didn't have my eyes wide open, but I was aware of the light that was coming from my left side. And I too normally have tinnitus, but it comes and goes. And there was no tinnitus today during that moment of meditation. But I was really wishing that the owl that I heard last night was making noise outside instead of the truck that was going by. So I guess I experienced all the senses, but I still brought judgment into them. Like it's not what I want to hear, And as far as sense, trying to be aware of my, sense of smell, again, judgment. Why didn't I light my candle this morning so I would have something to smell? And just overall body comfort, you know, being able to settle in. I found that very comforting. Couldn't really taste anything. And I think, you know, it was, I was surprised at the judgment, but it was truly an experience in trying to stay here in the moment, you know. Thank you.
Claudia has problems with her internet connection, so she is invisible, but
I'm here.
okay, good.
I choose to take the camera off so that I can concentrate on the Zoom call and not what I look like. But my cat interrupted me, of course, every time I try to meditate. But there's a window. I'm sitting in my living room and there's a large, well, it's a double door to the patio. So there's a lot of light coming through there. And I heard people walking. I hear my fan for some reason is making a noise. It's going and it's making like a creaking sound. My air conditioning clicked on and off. And I was very aware that it was lunchtime and I'm hungry.
Thank you. And where are you from?
Sorry, Austin, Texas.
Okay, Elizabeth.
My name's Elizabeth, and I'm here in Austin, Texas. I think the biggest sense that I focused on in the 5 minutes was sound. And just being in Austin, it just seems like the whole city is under construction. And especially in my neighborhood, they're building McMansions like crazy. So you hear lots of beeping, you know, cars reversing, clanging, and lots of strange humming, like wires, live wires. And then I noticed how my fridge was so loud. And then I heard the faucet dripping. And then I thought, did I leave a faucet on? And then my mind took off. And then I refocused, and that was it.
These are such exciting movies. There's a wonderful movie called Wavelength by Michael Snow, and it takes place, it's like in a New York City loft, and it's maybe 12 hours, and you hear the garbage trucks in the morning, and then you hear people going to work, their car sounds, and the light changes, and so nothing happens in a sense, but there's all this information coming in. And when we get to Mason, he can explain it all because he knows about the brain. So you're not going to get off, Mason. So next is, well, Ellen somehow was first. So now Lori. Did you talk, Ellen, or did you talk about something else? You did. Okay, Lori.
Hi, I'm from Austin, and I sensed a lot of things, but the main thing was the dryer that's going, and I was hearing it, and even though I don't think I can actually feel it, for some reason I believed I could feel the vibration of the dryer, which was very soothing and comforting.
And Leslie. Oh, Leslie, you're muted.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. So the first thing I noticed as it went quiet is that with my eyes closed, I couldn't see anything. So most of my senses were around hearing and feeling, but I kept hearing, at first I kept hearing this click that I thought was the refrigerator going. And then I realized it was the birds outside. And the more that I focused on that, the more I started hearing the melody. So that was very, anyway, that was very pleasantly surprising. And then I just noticed, I guess that most of I was a little chilly. Taste, I wanted to drink some of my tea. So it just started going through. And then I got obsessed with I don't know if any of y'all go there. It's like, well, what sense could I live without if I had to live without one? Anyway, I started going heady. I know. So I had to keep bringing myself back to just focusing on the senses. So that was my experience.
It's a tough question. Thank you. And Lisa.
I'm in Austin. I closed my eyes. I saw black.
Oh, wait, a little louder, Lisa,
Oh,
somehow.
okay. Oh, yeah. Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay. When I closed my eyes.
No,
I
you're
saw-
still a little quiet.
Is that better? That any better? I don't know. That's better. Okay. Yeah, when I closed my eyes, I saw black.
A little louder, a little louder.
Okay, is this any better?
Yeah.
Okay, okay. When I closed my eyes, I saw black. And yeah, like Allison, I was aware of the motor on my computer, the fan on my computer. And then very aware of extreme sinus pressure that is a result of a plumbing problem and massive cleaning and everything over the last 2 days. And then just aware of my body sitting on the softness of the my bed, and so that was it. Thank you.
You know, some people think that this is boring. Sitting is boring, but you know, look at all that's going on. Maria. Where did she go? There she is.
I'm here. I'm still here. Yeah, on the foot thing, it's the left foot coming in and to the left side of the doorway, and when you're leaving, it's the right foot towards the right side of the doorway, and only the head monk can leave through the middle.
Okay,
That's what I've
what you're
been
going to
told.
find, you know, many people do it differently.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, I think it's intention that matters, isn't it? Yeah, so I could hear somebody skipping outside. There was like a do 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 do. I'm assuming it was skipping, but there was a lot of repetitive noises going on outside, and then I could notice like a vibration in my body. My whole body has like a low-key vibration that it does, with a little fever that happens with it. And yeah, and I'm noticing the weight of my feet on the floor, feeling quite like weighted. And I could also hear, I think it was Alison who said about the fan. Was it Alison? I think. Yeah, about I could hear the fan of the computer going quite loudly, and I hadn't really noticed that either. So that was quite interesting. There's a kind of a hum that goes on in the air. It might just be my ears, I don't know, but there's like almost like a winding hum that goes on that I can hear all the time. And yeah, just and the weight of my arms on the side of the chair and my hands in the middle, kind of just really noticing the weight of them and the aching that my position causing, so sort of readjusting slightly to sit back into my chair. Yeah, so that was, thank you, that's me.
Thank you. And where are you from?
Well, I'm from Barrow-in-Furness in Cumbria in the UK, in England.
Thank you for coming, and I know it's late for you.
Yeah, 6:30 at night, so it's not
not
too
that
late.
late. Yeah,
Not
okay.
a bad time, yeah.
Great. I think Mason's next.
Suppose I was mostly aware of the coffee digesting in my stomach. I'm sort of a visual person, so oftentimes I'll get weird little transient vision or visualizations with certain perceptions. So I was seeing like arrows growing and shrinking with the sensation of digestion. And that was primarily, the duration of that 5-minute sit. So, and I'm originally from Ohio, currently living in Los Angeles for school, and moved from Austin a few months ago.
Michael, we've talked to Nancy. You're muted there.
Oh, hi. I'm Nancy. I'm from Dallas, Texas. Let's see what I see. For side, I don't see much because looking down, I only see the floor and yeah, not really much about that sense. But the strongest sense that I feel is my ear. I heard a lot of noises, like the noise, like the loud wind outside, like the heavy wind sound through the leaves and stuff, and on. So I heard the sound from the air freshener, and the sound from my kitten. Somehow like, oh, I'm so boring. What are you doing there? Something like that. And I did not smell anything, even though I tried, but for some reason, maybe my my nose stuck or somehow. I can feel my body descend, like my arms sitting on my lap, and also like like there was did I go through all of the 5 senses? Oh yeah, and also my mind went off for a while too. After I went through on the 5 senses, my mind just went out with the sound of the wind go through the leaves and stuff, and then I imagine like the beautiful view outside. And so I refocus, and yeah, and that's very much about it. Thank you.
These brains we have are pretty amazing, aren't they, Mason? Mason studies the brain at UCLA. Richie, you're the farthest away, I think.
Okay.
Well, maybe Claudine is. What? I don't know.
Claudine, maybe.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, Richie from Scotland in the UK. And let's see. Well, my eyes went a bit blurry, and I was seeing shapes and things. Sounds I could hear a crow. But I've got a bit of tinnitus as well, so it was like background sounds mixed in with the tinnitus going on in my ears at the same time. Smell, that just I haven't really got a very good sense of smell at the moment. So yeah, I was just breathing in through my nose, and I could feel the cool air coming in and hitting like my third eye area. It's because it's quite cool. I could feel it, and that felt quite good. And the body, I could feel the weight of it on the cushion. I didn't really explore the tastes, but I was aware of my body. I did a body scan as well, just went over each part of the body and feeling that too. Yeah, it was good.
So Mason, am I correct that we're basically, the things we sense are basically things that we're not normally sensing? Like change. Like if you were smelling, if you lived in a town, I know in Indiana across from Chicago, there's a sulfur smell in the air from the production of petroleum or something. But I suspect the people who live there never smell that. because they're smelling it all the time. Would that be the case in your mind, that it's only the changes? Like I know when we walk in a room, the things we see are the things that have been moved.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty common. You have attentional blindness to familiar environments.
What's it called? Intentional blindness?
Attentional blindness.
Oh, attentional with an A. Okay. Great. Thank you, Richie. Stephanie from California.
I'm going to pass because it looks like you're running short on time. I'll let somebody else go.
Okay. Thomas.
Yeah, I wasn't really aware of much besides the taste of a granola bar that I had right before. And I kept staring at the light coming through the blinds of my window. That's about all I focused on.
And you write a poem about it? Thomas writes beautiful poetry.
I could, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, that would be great if you could bring it next time.
Yeah.
Because you have such a great imagination, and to see how you take these poems. Mason, have you heard his poetry? Oh, okay. You guys haven't been together at the same time. And I think that's it. Oh, who did I skip? Rosemarie and Claudine. Okay, thank you. Rosemarie.
Hi, I'm Rosemarie from Fort Lee, New Jersey. And I had a good time because there was so much to do. So my eyes were cast down, and my laptop is far from the wall where it's plugged in. So peripheral vision, I could see that plug. I could see the tips of my shoes. I could see a little bit of the window in front of me. I could hear one of the first days that I'm opening my windows because it's nice and warm today in up north, and I could hear children playing, children's voices, and cars. The taste, I had just had some tomato sauce for lunch, so a little bit of the tomato taste was in my mouth. My feeling, the body feelings, I could feel, my breath, rising and being released. That was nice. And the smell was fresh because I, have fresh air now. And I just found that it kept me very focused. I did, the mind did veer off a bit, but it was very enjoyable to gather all this data. Yeah. Thank you.
And Claudine, there you are.
Yes, I'm Claudine. I am near Geneva in Switzerland. So it's almost 8 o'clock in the evening now, but still very sunny. So when we made the first exercise, pretending to come in the room again, I was so concentrated on what I had to do that I completely forgot to feel anything, and I had to do it a second time. Then I felt the freshness of the ceiling, and then I walked on a carpet that was soft to my feet. When we made the sitting, I completely forgot to make it as an exercise using all the senses. I only felt the touching. And what I felt was naturally where my body touched the seat and my hands on, there is a word in English I don't know, on the upper part of my legs, my hand on my legs like that. And it gives me always a very deep sense of comforting, as if I was really touching a deeper part in me. So I felt I was in the touching feeling, and that's it.
Thank you. I want to read Norman Fisher wrote a book about these ancient slogans, and they were called Lojong. And his first slogan, the whole beginning, which we're doing now, is train in the preliminaries. And I think of it like we always have this expression, 1,000-mile journey is started with a single step. And I've been really focused on, well, what's zero like? Before, like once the person takes that first step, they're far along the path compared with like zero. And so this is about the preliminaries or zero. And I really love it for that. And Michael's not here anymore. He had to go to a work meeting, but he and I spent about a year with this book. And then I actually took a course with Norman Fisher about it also a long time ago. Train in the preliminaries. I'm going to share it. Be nice for you to see it too, if I can. Here we go. Can you see it?
Yep.
Good. You can understand and practice this slogan 3 ways. First, the preliminaries include everything difficult that has happened in your life up until the moment you begin the training. The divorce you are going through or have gone through but never digested, the inexplicable breakup from out of the blue, the unexpected death of someone close to you that has shaken you to the core, a terrible childhood you might have thought you've gotten over, but now realize you haven't, an illness, a job loss, some other present or past disaster may be the preliminaries for you. The difference between just suffering these things and trying to cope and training has to do with how you view them, with your sense of resolve and personal responsibility. Even if what happened to you was not your fault, taking responsibility for it now that it has happened, owning it as the stuff of your present life, rather than seeing it as a tragedy that shouldn't have happened, and that therefore there's someone to blame, even if there is someone to blame, or bemoaning your sad fate and life's terrible injustice, is training in the preliminaries. In other words, to train in the preliminaries is to stop moaning and feeling sorry for yourself and to recognize itself, and to recognize instead that regardless of what has happened or why, this is your life and you are the only one equipped to deal with it. And so when we walk into the room, what we're doing is we're leaving the stuff behind in a sense, and we're into this new space, into this new moment, into this new presence. And we have that thing, and you see that it's not going to be boring, considering all that happens. I'm going to show now, we only have 4 more minutes, and it's a 4-minute videotape of my wife doing Japanese tea ceremony. But what I'd like to leave you with, besides this idea of intentional action, is just between now and 2 weeks from now, just try to be aware of what's going on, both when you're sitting and not sitting, because that's really the whole business. And there's a quick little koan where a young monk comes to the teacher and says, I want to learn about Zen. And the teacher says, have you eaten your gruel? And the guy says, yes. And he says, well, then wash your bowl. So it's one thing following after another. And you're really going to see that in the tea ceremony. And if you have to leave, we'll be 1 minute over. So if you have to leave, have a great time. And I hope also that you'll come every week, the weeks that we're not doing the class, where we have a sit and then a little discussion afterwards at the same time. And it's the same link on the website. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Ipuku sashiagemasu. Please have a bowl of tea. Please have a sweet.
Well, you're welcome to respond in any way you want. If you need to run, you're welcome to run. The part of the tea ceremony that you didn't see was after you would be served tea, then you would be asked, do you want another cup? And you would say yes or no. And then you would say to the host, please clean up. And then the host would clean up and return the tea bowl and everything to its original state, ready for another tea ceremony. And there's about 40 forms, and each form has a different process for different seasons. And then the host wouldn't drink tea herself unless she was doing it informally with a friend, and then they take turns. So unlike tea, some places, they don't do that.
What does it symbolize? Because it looks like an awful lot of effort.
It's a lot of effort. What does it symbolize? Well, there's a saying, peace through a bowl of tea. It's really just one person touching another person. And there was one of the main people in modern times to spread the word about Japanese tea to the world was a kamikaze pilot. And he never actually flew a mission, but he would make tea for the men in Japan, before they would do their mission. And then when the war ended, he decided he would bring peace to the world with this bowl of tea. And if you and I had an important business meeting, before we would even talk business, we would do the tea, and we would walk through a garden, and we would wash our hands, and we would come in, and the door to the tea house would be very small, so you couldn't bring your sword in. You'd have to leave your sword outside. So it's a beautiful act, and it's very close to the forms we do in Zen. In fact, what was kind of interesting is one of the guys who developed years ago, 400 years ago or something, who developed many of the forms, had a wife who was a Catholic. And he watched her doing the forms and thought, oh, we need more forms for this tea ceremony. So even back then, there was this marriage of the East and the West.
He saw her doing Catholic rituals.
Yes, yes. You know, with the wafer and the whole bit. And he said, we need to do things.
Interesting. Yeah, it does feel sacred.
You know, and we can do the sacred, you know, I know we're not in a Zendo, but wherever we are, we can do it. It can be sacred. So there's this idea in Zen that everything is sacred. And then I put chairs in the corner of a classroom that had a little altar in the corner. And the priest said to me, you can't put chairs there. That's sacred. I said, I thought everything was sacred. He said, yeah, but some places are more sacred. So
Did you teach in a Catholic school?
No, this was in a Zen temple.
Oh, got
No,
it.
I don't think I ever taught in a Catholic school. No. Okay, well, see you, you know, tomorrow morning, or I don't even know what day of the week this is. What can someone help? Wednesday, we have meditation tonight at 7 o'clock. And or tomorrow or next week, but everyone have a great day and thank you for coming.
Thank you so much, Kim.
So much.